Welcome to Absurdly Nerd. This is our recap and review of The Last of Us Episode 8. So we're going to get right into it with the exposition. And this one started out where we left off. How did this all play out in the game? I'm trying to remember. You've played it more recently than me.
I think it was pretty much shot for shot as far as like realizing she's going to need medicine.
Yeah, and then going out and this whole section actually, that's something I meant to say. It starts with you hunting the rabbit, and then you come back.
That Joel's alive at this point,
right? Yeah,
she's hunting and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was a cool thing too, like to have that suspense. I mean, you kind of knew because like it's his game at that point, but at the same time, it's like you're wondering. You know, it left you wondering. So starting right there, I get it from where we were with episode 7, but I like it better a little bit the other way. I like the jump. I think this is a product of they wanted to do the Left Behind stuff. And so like you can't just jump forward because you've already done that. You had to integrate it into the last episode, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not deducting points there, but it was just different. Like that was one of those different things from the show to the game. We jumped right past the actual the initial exposition of this, which was David preaching to his people. Yeah. That was kind of odd to me. I mean, I know that's what it's supposed to be, is that whole thing is odd, him being the leader and everything. But
every scene that group was together, it felt so weird.
Yeah, I guess that's the point. Is like he's got
it wasn't bad, but it was always like it felt like there was tension there, and it shouldn't be like. We understand why there's tension now because of how the character goes, but it was like they filmed it well, where you're like, something's off. Right,
and I understand that's what they're trying to deliver, but it's like hard for me to imagine that why they came to trust him that much.
Oh yeah,
when this whole time they're just like, it was like a pin drop in that room. They did not care to be there. It's like I don't know. Like I guess that's what they're expressing, is they're holding on by a thread to life and to their belief in David, and that kind of pushes the narrative of what he ends up, doing throughout this episode. It is interesting to watch it with my wife, who has not played the game, and so we get the other side of it. And the whole time I kept looking at her to see if she was noticing things, because we knew what was going to go on with these people and what they're doing, and she didn't seem to be catching on to it, which, I mean, there's some of it there wasn't super evident, but you she knew something was off. She didn't think he was, all sunshine and rainbows or anything, but
they gave that away earlier in this than they did in the game, with him slapping that kid and all that. Like you can already tell he was going to be bad.
Yeah, it was all the way up to her being in the cell that you still kind of thought he was a good guy, like in the game. Not in this. He was okay. I'm gonna go into adaptation a little here. We're going a little bit out of order, but I like the game version of this better, of him at least, because he was always creepy in this. Like he was never trustworthy.
I feel like he was charming in the game. You're like, we can work with this guy.
Yeah. Right. I mean, well, from the beginning, it was just like he happened to be there. Like the exposition in this one kind of was a detriment to me, in the fact that we saw him at this weird meeting with the weird back and forth with, what was Troy's name in this? I can't remember.
I don't know either. James,
that was it. But yeah, like, so you got the idea that something's a little weird with him and his situation. So to see that first, and then her meeting me, like, oh, I don't trust him. Like we already knew kind of not to trust him. Whereas in the game, like I was like, okay, we're going to survive. Oh, they also left out the whole situation with I know they didn't want to do the whole clicker fight, but that was kind of a big thing there. That's why we trusted him. He fought through this situation with you.
Yeah, it's like, he took the role of Ellie kind of with backup.
So like, as a gamer, as the first person in there, you grow to trust him. I feel like there was a little bit lost in that. And that's kind of hard to convey in a show.
Yeah.
So like adaptation points I would take
saving her from something would have gone a long way.
Right. Yeah. For her to believe in him. And then also like, cause she never at any point
trusted him. Ever.
Right. And they wanted this whole dad narrative. Like they say in the post credits thing, the good dad, he was playing the good dad. Like he never showed good dad in this whole thing. So like she didn't act like she fell for that at any point either, but in the game she kind of did. Like, she kind of did was vulnerable because she was a child and this is an adult, and she trusted him. And that's the whole dynamic there, like the symbolism they're speaking to in the real world here. But I feel like a little bit was lost on that in this.
Yeah. I feel like she never trusted him from the get-go. And then like in the game, it was more, well, I need that medicine. And this guy just helped me fight these zombies. So, I could see, I think I like the portrayal in the game. It just felt better. I think this is an awesome episode, but that did.
I'm not completely detracting as a standalone thing. Like, I don't want to be the guy that just compares it to the game the whole time, because as a show, it was a great episode. If you take away knowing how it went in the game, it's just
Which
can't.
Is a lot of people that's watching it.
Right, yeah. For them, I don't think they would have those complaints. Like, the symbolism did follow through, like, and he's a creep and everything, and you can't trust him and everything. And in comparison, I do like the game better on that. Performance, Ellie. Bella Ramsey's killing
every time. If she's not nominated for an Emmy, that show one. Yeah. If she's not nominated for an Emmy, then there's something wrong, because she will be. This is amazing acting.
Yeah, honestly, I think there's a higher likelihood of her than Pedro Pascal. Yeah, just because
he's not doing bad. It's just that character is more action, less. Like, when he does speak, it's awesome, and it's always a good line, and he is doing it 100%.
Yeah, I bet if you looked over the script for the two of them, hers has got to be like twice as many lines. She's talking so much more than him, so much more time to deliver those moments.
In the show compared to the game, I feel like he's more of a secondary character, and Ellie, which
it makes sense going forward.
Yeah, and in the game, Ellie is the main character. You kind of figure that out throughout it. Like, your job was to protect her.
Right.
But you're playing as Joel, so he feels like the main character. But I think the show's done a good job of making sure that she is the focus, like she is the main character.
Other performances, Troy Baker was awesome.
Oh, yeah. He was great.
I'm hoping that this opens up. I don't know. I say that, but at the same time, I don't want him to get away from video games.
What I really like what they're doing with their cameos, and like the people, they're not just like one-liners and like in the background. Mm-hmm. They're given like fleshed out roles. And that's really cool. Like,
so far we've had Marlene show up.
Yep, and she's playing Marlene.
Yeah,
and
actually playing Marlene.
The guy who plays Tommy was one of the.
Who was
he was one of the Kansas City guys.
Oh yeah. He was a very prominent role in Kathleen's
2 episodes.
right-hand man. Yeah,
and then Troy Baker being the right hand of this group.
Yeah, he was a big part of this episode. I didn't expect him to be that big of a part. But yeah, he was great. I like I said earlier, I don't know if I really like this David.
Yeah.
Not that the actor was great. Like, he performed this creepy character real good. That was more of a writing thing to me. But I feel like the game version wasn't presented as so creepy. Like, he didn't visually look that creepy.
Not visually.
Not until he became really creepy and you see it. But in this one, it's like the whole time he looks sickly and like sketchy, like methed out. Like,
he looked weird.
But the actor, I do think, is good. Like, he delivered it all really well.
Yeah,
right.
Like when he would flip that switch and be real pissed off. And stuff, it was good. Yeah. The whole fight was awesome.
Oh, dude, that was perfect. Like, that was the perfect way. That I can't imagine it being any better shot for shot than it was. One more thing on performance, I would say all of the side characters in this that didn't really have speaking parts were really good at playing the role of that cult.
Yeah.
Like, as far as like, nobody stood out.
That's another big compliment. Like, as far as like even background characters that sometimes would stand out because they're just there.
Right. Yeah.
None of it is really, nothing has stuck out to me as being bad. Like,
they're all in the zone of what they're doing. And so like, it never breaks immersion for you. And I feel like this is really a case of that. They all looked very morbid. Like, and you know, facial acting was really good there. But we'll move on to, we'll talk a little bit more about adaptation. I feel like we've kind of worked that in. We talked about the fight scene at the end. I think that's the best adaptation this show's done yet, in my opinion. That and the scene with Ellie and Joel in the room.
I didn't think we would get the map.
Yeah.
I thought since he did that with that elderly couple, that he wouldn't do it again. I was like, oh, that was the nod to the whole map thing. But they did that scene and they did perfect. Perfect. It was perfect.
That was really good too. Yeah, this had a lot of those great shot for shot moments, you know. And I feel like, man, the set was just spot on. It all felt like what we were wandering around in.
Goes to show how good the writing was the first time around in that game. That they don't have to change it.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to make it fit.
Yeah. The line delivery is good that it can transition to show.
Yeah. Man, I had to save them a lot of work to just take the script and copy and paste it in a lot of ways. Of course, you got to transition on things, but really, really well done. So I guess we'll move into resolution, which is also talking about that fight there. And man, this is one of those areas I think might have hit better than the game. I think the end of this episode was, you just can't portray that with mocap. Like, the emotion was all there. Bella Ramsey killed it. Joel finding her and everything.
They did it perfectly. Like, always my go-to comparison is Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But when they did the whole lineup with the bat scene and then they had to show the gore and stuff, and it's like this did that like whole pretty much brutality of a scene, but never showed what the
right. Yeah, they didn't have to show his face.
They kept it on her, the camera on her the whole time, and it meant more.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, because like the moment with Glenn and everything was really good until they showed too much of it. Like you could have shown a second of it and then cut away, but you dwelled on it and then it made it about the special effects. It made it about the gore.
Yeah.
It didn't make it about Glenn.
It turned into Saul.
Right. This character that we've cared about for season after season. Yeah. You're just going to end on this is the last thing we see of him, his freaking eye falling out of his head. Like you knew somebody in the costume department was like, yeah, this is awesome. And it's like, it doesn't translate well to when you're watching it for the emotion that the fan has grown to carry for that character.
But focusing on Ellie and just seeing her emotion was like, but there's no better way to shoot that scene.
Yeah, I think it was perfect. And I it went on for a long time. It didn't go on for that long in the game, but I think it needed to go on for that long here to hammer home the point of how disgusting he was.
Yeah.
Like I think every hit just like pushed it further. Like for me as a father being like, yeah, just keep doing it. Like he deserves every bit of what you're giving him. I think the emotion was perfect in the resolution of this.
Yeah, and then the scene outside with Joe was perfect. That scene was so good.
Yeah, it's what all of us have wanted. It was them to hug and care about each other and show it. That's what you this whole season have wanted them to work towards. And it's like that big moment of like, they officially like both mutually agree. We love each other. We care about each other, and we're happy that we're okay right now. But that'll move us right into our grades, and I'm curious to see what you graded.
I'm leaning A, close to A+ if they could have tweaked David a little more to make it more of a twist that he was so bad. I think like we knew from the start, even without playing the game, they could have been some way of making him more likable. Yeah, and then straight up villain.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with a B+ on this one. I think the exposition for me is the big problem, and David, and just the way he's intertwined in the show. I know that they wanted to point out that he's awful, but like we get that pretty quickly whenever he starts to be creepy. And I think that's what I liked about the game is like all at once you see it instead of this steady creep, like creeping up with him being creepy.
It was, you see him be bad with the group, and then it's like he tries to be nice again to Ellie. Like, well, we've already seen him be this other person, so we know he's not like nothing he says is truthful. So
I think it's all perspective, because I'm thinking of the first time I played the game, which is a totally different thing than watching this. Knowing, but I just feel like it gave itself away a little bit. And that's why I would put it at B+, which is still a really good score. But I think it kind of spoiled itself with the initial showing of David, in my opinion. I really love the way this season's going, and I'm super sad that there's only one more episode. Like, I got a little stressed out whenever it ended. I was like, holy crap, next week is the last one. Yeah, and then we got to wait for the second season. But it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But leave us your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you think about the show and what you thought about this episode. But until next time, stay nerdy.